Hello everyone, welcome back. So in our webdriverIO series, we are looking into how we can run our webdriverIO test cases into the browser stack, right? Now today I am going to showcase what are the different other steps that we can really add to make it more feasible. Like in a sense, if you would have seen in our previous session, we were taking this config.ts file and then here we were just updating into our existing file, right? Now today I'm going to showcase how you can split this particular configuration file so that you don't need to really uncomment and comment the things when you want to debug the test cases into your local and also when you want to run your test cases into the browser stack. The main benefit is that, see, there are times where you want to run your test cases into local, like let's say you are writing a new test case, you want to debug this step by step. Now you don't want to really run that into the browser stack, right? You will be pushing the code to run into the browser stack when your test cases are absolutely working fine. So debugging, you need the local execution. Once it is ready, then you want to take these test cases into the browser stack. Fine. Okay, now how do we reduce actually the effort of a configuration file, like adding all these things? Now local execution, I don't need these things, right? Like if you see the capabilities, we are adding the browser stack capabilities, which we don't need actually. So for this, what I'm going to do, first thing is that I'll take a backup actually of this. So let me just copy this one and then paste it. And what I will do to make it as normal, now this one, I will take it as normal, like all the browser stack instances, whatever it is there, right? All these things I will be removing actually from here, okay? Because we have already a copy into this, fine. So I'll just say as discard changes, this is my git is linked to this, so it is easy for me to do this one. Okay, now if you see that I have two configuration files. This is my local configuration. Now everything you got back to the normal actually, like Chrome options, there is no browser stack instances in this, fine. Now I have something called as wdioconf.copy actually. I'm keeping this one as my baseline to understand what are the things that I need for the browser stack execution. Okay, this is just for a backup only. Now I'm taking a copy and I will say paste. And now in this case, what I'm going to do, I'll utilize this particular configuration file, right, for my browser stack only. So I'll say wdio.conf.bstack. I will say like this. Now what exactly this does, anything that I will write here with respect to the browser stack only. Now this is the same concept which we have used in our appium with webdriverIO series. We have splitted Android, iOS, and then there is a shared configuration file. So the same thing I'm doing here, but in a different way. Okay, fine then. Now here what I'm going to do, I'll delete everything actually. I'll show you that what exactly I'm going to do. So the first thing is that whenever you are taking a configuration file specific to some task, the first thing is that you import that config actually there. Now from where I will be getting this config from, like if you do like this, you will get this config from here actually. Now this is my base configuration file, right? So I'm keeping it here, fine. Now I will be creating a constant actually, or a variable, anything that you say. Now what is exactly this will do? Now this will hold all the configurations that is required for the browser stack. Now what are the different configurations you need for browser stack? You need the user key, then you need the capabilities, okay, specific capabilities for your browser stack, then you need the service. So these are the three main things that you need. Okay, now let's one by one copy paste those things. So the first thing that I will be taking is the user key, right? So I'll go to this bstack, and under this I will be putting these things. Now here sometimes what happens, let's say that you don't want to share your username and credentials or the key actually here. So what you can do, there is an option actually, you can put an or condition, because see, if this username doesn't exist, then it won't run your test case, right? And you have to come back to this particular script and change these things. So what you can do, you can even use the process.environment. So if you remember in our previous days, we have taken the debug flag, right? So the same thing, I'm taking this browser stack underscore username. Let's say that you are giving this code to your team member. Okay, now they don't want to use your username and password. At that moment, they can send this variable value from the command prompt directly. We have already seen the use case of that. Now the second thing is that, let's say that you don't want to really use the default the specs that we are using. Probably this one you have used for your, let's say, for testing or for debugging, but then when you want to take it to the browser stack, you might want to run a different set of test cases. That's why it is better to keep it separate. Actually, it means that, say, anything you want to override the common capabilities, right? That is what you need to specify here. And then I have to specify the capabilities also. What are the different capabilities that I want to take? Those things I want to specify here. Now you have already understood how to take the capabilities. If I go down, you can see they have already mentioned about this. Like yesterday we were looking into the Mac operating system with Safari browser, Windows with Firefox, all these combinations you can take. Let's say that I want to just use two different browsers I want to run from two different desktop systems. Actually, that is what probably I want to run two different browsers from two different systems, but running the test cases in parallel. So I'll just copy paste this one actually here as it is. Now if you see that there are a couple of common capabilities are there, like you can set the build name actually here. Now let's copy this one as well. Okay, now this should go under this, set some common capabilities. Okay, now what are these common capabilities? Anything that I am setting here, this is applicable for all these two instances actually. That is what it means. Okay, so I'll just keep it here like this, and then here B stack options, the browser stack, and now here you can see these are specific to this capability, but this build name is applicable for all of these capabilities. I think this service also I need to put it also, right? So let me add this service also here. So I'll put a comma and I will go to my base configuration, sorry, this copy the backup which I created, right? Now I will be taking from here, let's go to the services section. Simply let's copy this section. Okay, nothing much really you need to do there, and you need to copy here. That's it. Now you can see the same 3 to 4 things. My key user to specify where my test cases will be running. The second thing is that specs file, capabilities, common capabilities, services. That's it. Now you're pretty much done. Now this is not exactly the capability. This is just an object that I have added here. Okay, now the job is to append this particular override or the new capabilities with my existing. So how do I do that? Okay, so I'll make sure that I will append that. So I will write this statement exports dot config. Okay, now what I want to export actually here, I'll just do one thing, load dash. Actually I will be using a load dash library. Now how to use that, you can just keep here like this, where just give a variable name or something here, and then this is the way actually you can do that. Now load dash, that's it. And now this underscore, right, I will be using here underscore dot, and here I need to specify the override. Override is nothing but my current capabilities, right? I want to override with my the actual. So this is my destination and this is the source. So from here I will be taking the details and then overriding with this particular variable. Now this variable is nothing but, or the object is holding all of these capabilities. Now this is the way you can override. There are a lot of different ways actually. If you go to this browser stack, they have given different ways actually. Now you can see couple of them are very shared ones. The documentation that which we were looking into, right, into this browser stack, if you click on this view on GitHub, you see this option. Now if you see here, they have given it in a different way. Okay, like you can create a variable here or a constant. Now what you can do, you can exports.config equal to, you can specify these two things, and then you need to put a loop. This will also work fine. But there are other options that while I was digging down more into these things, I found this is very easy way and I can recall it as well. So I have used. Now in our appium WebDriver series, we have taken into a different way also. That one there we were using, instead of these capabilities, we used to say config.capabilities equal to. So there are multiple ways, whichever way you feel comfortable, you can do that. But for browser stack, this is the safer option to do that. So you can follow this one as well. Fine. So my browser stack options or the config options are ready, which is specific to my browser stack only. Now if you remember, in our previous session I have discussed that while we were viewing the the reports, right, into the browser stack, it wasn't coming into a, like if you see here, the browser was not coming in a proper way, and you can see the browser was not in a proper size actually. Now we have discussed that we can maximize this browser also. Now there is a way we can maximize. You can go to each test case at the beginning and you can say that browser.maximize window. But it is very tedious, right? Like I have 3 test cases, so that shouldn't be a problem. But when you have, let's say that hundreds of test cases are there, so you need a common way where you don't want to really enter that particular line explicitly in your test cases. So for this we will be using the hooks of the wdio conf actually. So if you scroll down here, you will get something called as before test. You can see that this before test is there. Let's enable this. Okay, now what it says, if you see this function to be executed before any test starts, if it is mocha or jasmine. Mine is a jasmine test, right? So I can use here. Now what should I write here? So I can write like this, simply browser dot maximize window. That's it. Okay, now what this will do, this particular line will be applicable for all the test cases, whether you have 1 TS file or hundreds of TS files, so that you can see the recording in a full screen. Fine. Now this job is done. Now I'm keeping that into a common, actually the common conf, because it doesn't matter whether I'm running in local or in browser stack or from any configuration, this will be applicable. Okay, now anything that I have written into this common conf, right, this is common for everything. Now we are pretty much done with everything, and just to showcase, I have enabled all the test cases. Just disable this one, means we have 3 test cases. Okay, the B stack is having 2 different browsers. It means that any test cases that I'm going to run, that will execute in these capabilities and also into this browser. It will be running in parallel. You don't need to set up anything like so-called as parallel thread and all those things. How many capabilities you will specify? webdriverIO will distribute your test cases into those browsers, but by using the max instances, you can restrict the number of parallel threads that it is going to run. Okay, that is the only thing that will do. But at this moment I don't want to really specify anything. Any test case that I'm writing here, that should execute sequentially into this particular system browser, and also the same set of test cases will be running into this as well. Okay, as simple as that. Fine. Now there is one thing though I need to do, that I have to go back to the package.json, because if you see this wdio, it redirects to my common configuration file, which I really don't want actually. So what I'm going to do, I'll come back here, I'll create a new entry here and I will say bstack, let's say that. Okay, and here I will write that code wdio run wdio.conf .bstack. So the configuration that it should take from here only. So that is what you need to specify here, so that all of your browser stack options, whatever you have specified in this, right, these things will be overridden with your existing configuration. Now how does it work? Whenever I say, now I will just go to the command line, I'll clear it and I will say npm run wdio :bstack. Okay, when I run this one, it will go to the package.json, it will find the conf.bstack, so it will come back here. Now it will see that there is another a high level of, or a parent configuration is also present. Okay, that's what I'm writing here, right? Now these 2 things will be appended and you will get the browser stack related capabilities here, as simple as that. So with this minimal change, you could able to run the same set of test cases into your local and also into the browser stack without any change. You just need to do this command only. When I want to run into the browser stack, I will just say wdio : b stack. When I want to run in my local, I will say npm run wdio. That's it. Now let's do one thing. My browser stack is ready. Let's keep it available, and you see that all the available test results, right, so far we have executed, those things will be reflecting here. So I'll just refresh this. Okay, I really don't want that actually, so I'm keeping it here. Now keep observing this running actually. As I run this script, right, it will say 2 or 5 because I'm running 2 systems or 2 desktop browsers parallelly from different system. Okay, now let me run this test case. If everything goes fine, it should execute, but it didn't go well. Let's see, maybe somewhere I have done some configuration mistake, and if you see here, yeah, there is a spelling mistake here. It should be deep. Okay, so defaults deep actually, that is the method. And now let's run again. Okay, now it should start, and you can see running 2 of 5. In our previous session, you have seen running 1 of 5, right? Now if you go back to, if you scroll down to the left side, you can see 2 different systems got spun up. Now you can see into the Mac operating system, Safari browser is running. Into the Windows 10 system, Firefox is running. From where these 2 capabilities are coming? From this browser stack capabilities which we have specified. That is the magic actually here. You can see Firefox on Windows, then Safari on the Safari browser on Mac operating system. Seems like there is some issue, it is coming. Okay, you can see that the first test case into the Firefox browser got failed. It is expected, so there are three tests. In that 2 got passed but 1 got failed, and that is what the exception. You see that this is the magic, the exception is also coming. We haven't specified any kind of logs to this, right, but that is how the wdio browser stack service which we have integrated, right, the package that is using here actually, that logic. Now both of these test cases got failed, that doesn't matter, but 2 test cases should be passed. You can see that. Let's see that what happened here. 1 test case got skipped, but 3 got failed. Okay, that shouldn't be the case. I don't know why this got failed. Async function did not complete within. It seems like it got a timeout, but this shouldn't be a timeout. Let me see these test cases properly. Test form. Okay, seems like 1 set got worked fine. If you see here, 2 test cases got passed, 1 failed, 1 skipped, but then the other thread actually it didn't work. So probably let's do one thing. I'll give a max instance of 2 actually. That's how it should run actually. So now if you come back to this, right, after common capabilities, I can specify the max instances actually. So I'll just write like this, and let's put 2 actually at this moment. Okay, and now let's rerun this same test cases and see what happens. And you can see that two instances are running actually at this moment out of 5, which is my license is allowing up to 5 only, and it should work fine. Oh yeah, now you can see that it got executed. Now you can see that in this actually 2 test cases got passed, 1 got failed. The same thing here also you will see 2 test cases got failed, 1 passed, 1 skipped, and this is the thing actually here, why it got failed. There is one test case that got failed. I don't know why it is taking delay. Probably the application is down or something, but this is how it is executing. And also the failed ones, you can just now here play that recording. You should see the browser launched, and it should maximize the browser as well, and you can see that it is maximized, and whatever the test cases we have executed, that you can play back here. The same thing I should see into the Safari browser from the Mac as well. Now these are nothing but the remote desktops. I mean, the browser stack maintains all these systems into the server, and you can see even the Safari browser also got maximized, and it is entering the username password to run the test cases. Okay, so that is how you can have the minimal changes to your configuration file, and this doesn't really impact your test cases. That is what one of the good thing about that. Whether you run it in local GitHub Actions or into your browser stack or any other cloud solution, okay, you just need to do the configuration wise changes, and then your test case, the logic, the framework, what you call guidelines or any kind of patterns that you are using, that is a very separate part. Actually, there is no dependency of that into your framework level or the library level. Okay, so hope this session is helpful. We'll see some more interesting topics in our upcoming sessions, so stay tuned and do subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.